Miggity, mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. I am the comedian, James Money. Welcome to Hawaii Comedy with James Money podcast. We are live. Thank you for joining us. Let me go around and make sure all places I'm supposed to be live is live. You know me, it's got to be what I pay for, these subscriptions and whatnot. So it better be out there. Or else, sending an email to Zuckerberg. Like, hey man, you guys are slow with sharing my my podcast to the people. The people need to know what's going on. Oh man, how unprofessional of me. My phone's beeping over here. Mute. Okay, one more place to share this. Share to the Hawaii Comedians group. And then we will get started. Why isn't that on the top? It's like the place I go to the most. Oh, yeah. All right, cool. We got some people joining in. Cool. All right, we have been shared. What I paid for is being shared around social media. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hawaii Comedy Podcast. Hawaii Comedy with James. Man, maybe I should change the name so that it sings. I keep messing up the name of my own podcast. It's like you name your kid and you just keep calling him something else. It's like, that's why local people say son, boy, come. Especially when they have more than one kid. One kid is boy, the other kid is son. I wonder if they mix that up too. It's possible. But I want to give a shout out and to our sponsors. If you guys see this beautiful shirt that I'm wearing right here, it's got all the license plates with all the islands. Molokai, Maui, Lanai, Hawaii, Oahu. Wait a minute. I didn't think about that. There's no Ni'ihau. Team Oga. This is from Oahu Golf Apparel. Go to oahugolfapparel.com. They make hats, t-shirts, golf accessories. They're locally produced here in Honolulu, Hawaii. They offer fun, stylish activewear on or off the course. I don't play golf, so but I love these shirts. Make Oahu Golf Apparel a part of your game. The thing I like about these shirts is, first of all, they make it my size. I'm wearing a 6 extra large, and if it's comfortably, it also looks stylish. I can wear this to work and stuff. But it's really cool. It's light. It's very flexible. So, if I was to do yoga, which I don't, maybe I should start. Got back problems. But, I would be able to. It's so flexible and comfortable and light. So go to oahugolfapparel.com and get yourself some of these beautiful shirts. I also want to give a shout out to Pancakes and Waffles Hawaii. Of course, a James Money podcast is going to have a food sponsor. Pancakes and Waffles Hawaii.com has 2 locations, one in City Square Shopping Plaza in Kalihi and one in Waimalu Shopping Plaza here in Aiea. That's Pancakes and Waffles Hawaii.com. All right, let's get this show started. I got to get a producer. Don't worry. I'll edit this in the audio. Here we go.
Live from the middle of the Pacific Ocean, it's Hawaii Comedy. With your host, James Money.
Island days, clear blue water, then mountain ranges and dancing daughters. I can't get enough of these island days. Won't you take me back to Honolulu? Yeah, that surf is high and I am too. Sing songs all night. and reindeers and beautiful daughters. Yeah. I can't get enough on these island days.
Oh, I love that music. If you guys love that music too, that's Tavana. Tavana is an amazing, talented musician. Check out his website, Tavana808.com. He's performing all over the state. If he's performing near you, you got to go see him. I love his music. It's very like island bluesy style. Every time I hear it, I'm like, ooh, I'm a Paniolo. You know, I'm a cowboy. That sounded weird. But yes, I'm a cowboy. Something. The steel horse I ride. Okay, it's making it weird. Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, so happy, so excited to be doing this episode because, and I hope I don't embarrass the guy, like, when I started out, it was sad for me because this person has already moved up to the mainland and started performing up there. He goes back when 102.7 The Bomb first started. I didn't even know he was a stand-up comedian. I was with Jammin' 93.1 as an intern with Cool E and the gang, and then they transitioned from doing hip-hop at Jammin' 93.1 into 80s music. And then the hip-hop style side went to 102.7 The Bomb. And then that was pretty much it for it, because I guess Cool E and the gang, the hip-hop style show that we had, the night show, they didn't work on the 80s platform. So it was a little bit like, oh, man, those guys at 102.7, we're no longer doing this because of those guys. But then I found out when I got into stand-up comedy that this person was doing stand-up comedy, and I started seeing him on TV and on YouTube, and I was like, holy cow, that guy is hilarious. And ever since, like, I've even performed with him and saw him perform live. If you have a chance to see him live, you got to go see it, because it's a different energy from watching on YouTube than watching live. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the Hawaii Comedy with James Money podcast, Sir Paul Ogata.
What's up, James? You know what? Funny story. We did hurt a lot of feelings when we started that station, 102.7 The Bomb, because all the people who were on the country station that we kicked off the air to start The Bomb were all salty that we were doing that. All the people at Jammin' 93.1 that got kicked off because we used the format, they were salty. The competing stations, they were salty. I was working at another station at the time, on Crater. And I told my boss, I gave him my 2 weeks notice. I said, all right, look, I'm going to pursue other opportunities. And he said, oh, that's fine, man. Good luck to you. And then word got out, because it's radio. It got out pretty quick. And on my drive home, he fired me. And but I had already quit. You can't fire somebody that already quit. Anyway, it was so funny because he used the F word in like a adjective, a noun, an adverb, and a verb all in the same sentence as he was shouting at me. It was very creative. But yeah, it's like we kill pride, we hurt feelings, click, clack, bang, bang, we in the murder business.
And you was the bomb. So it was, because it kind of like pushed us out and was like, oh, so what now? But, you know, for me, it wasn't as bad because I wasn't that wasn't my full-time job. I was a city bus driver at the time. So it was like, all right, I guess I'll just show up at clubs with Cool E when he DJs there and whatnot. But it was that little thing, because even with Big T's, it was always that, we're competing with them, and then all of a sudden the bomb comes out and it's like, wait, so if we have 2 hip hop stations, and then that's when I learned about business. It's like, no, there can only be one. It was like, bye-bye, Justin Cruz, why?
Yeah, and now he's on the TV.
Yeah, look at him. But he was impressive, though, because radio was new to me, like as far as being in the studio. And that guy with the board, he was like a composer, for an orchestra. He never used the chair. He's always standing up, but he's always like really good and talking, and I won't get into too much, but he was pretty cool. Nice
No,
for me
and
to
I
see.
admire people like that who are able to multitask and use the different parts of their brain, because there's a lot of knobs and switches and dials you got to work at the radio station, and the buttons you got to click. And I was always the talker. I never had to work the board, and on rare occasions when I did, that's when you would hear things going horribly wrong on the air, lots of dead air or several things playing at the same time. It's horrible. Find what you're good at and then do that, and then stop the things you're not good at. That's my
Yeah,
advice.
you always was the punchline for the show where I forget his name. Yeah, the main guy at 102.7. I live next door to him.
Kid Leo.
Kid Leo. I live next door to him in Waimalu.
Did you?
And yeah, he across from Burger King. Like
Okay.
this was years after. He was still at I don't know if he was still at the Bomb, but I remember looking. I was like, that guy looks familiar. But we were never introduced because you guys were the morning show, we were the night show, and then then we were gone. So I never really got to meet him, but seemed like a nice guy. So I mean, I'm sure you guys are still friends.
Yeah, actually, I have not kept in contact with him, and it was weird because we worked together in the morning every day. We saw each other for 5-6 hours at a time every day for 6 years, and it's like a marriage, Once it ends, then you move on to other things. I love the guy, and I enjoyed every minute working with him. But we moved on to different things.
Yeah, that's how it goes with friendships and getting older. You start to grow apart. But the funny thing is, your guys' night team, Rico and Dano, right? If you remember, it was like what? So you get quality in the morning, then as the day goes, you get to. And I was friends with them. I knew them before they were on radio, and they were doing dirt at Waikiki.
We're doing dirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
they were up to no good, and that's how I knew them. And I mean, it was just bad. Like so, after we left 93.1, and then Rico calls me, and he's like, he's very urban. I think he's Puerto Rican, but very urban and very. But he's been here so long, so he's not like street, but it's like a kid that wishes he was.
Right.
And so he's spitting game to me, and he's like, "Oh, I want to have you on the show, in our show, our night show, yada yada yada." And then he goes, "Oh, see, this is what I want you to be. I want you to be Sole Boy. You can be Sole Boy, the character Sole Boy." And I was like, that's offensive, right? He was like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about? You're Sole Boy." I was like, "So Sole means boy already, and you're calling me a boy, like you're talking down to me too. So what's the point of this character?" And he goes, "Oh no, we're gonna you'll be the butt of a lot of the jokes." And it's like, okay, even more so.
Yeah.
You just trying to pick on a large Samoan. Is that what it is? And he's like, no, not at all, not at all. And that was it for me with radio. I said, nah, I'm out. Let's go drive this bus. But we got the people here in the comedy corner, I guess, who are happy to see you. Johnny Rocks Hollywood says aloha.
Johnny.
Yeah. He says a pleasure hosting your last year a show with Michael Paul Reith. Michael Paul Reith? I'm not sure.
I don't. That doesn't ring a bell. But I've been hit in the head a lot, so I don't. There's a lot of things I don't remember.
Oh, he misspelled Paul Ogata. So.
You are bad at spelling, my friend.
Even his autocorrect is bad. Autocorrect.
hope you die in a
Michael.
fire. Did I? Oh no, I meant to say hello. How are you? That doesn't make any sense.
No, I meant God bless you. Oh man, I'm
Yeah.
so
Oh,
sorry.
I hate
Uh,
autocorrect.
yeah. Johnny Sparkles say it was hard for him to hear because he was a fan of Radio Free Hawaii.
Yeah,
So
me too. I was a huge fan of Radio Free Hawaii. Uh, that was they broke all the new kinds of music that you never heard in Hawaii before that, and it's such a great station. It was an honor to share that frequency with them.
yeah, and they were the only station I remember where you can hear the explicit lyrics of songs
Right,
at a
it
certain
was so
time of the
fun.
night.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
after
was like,
10 p.m. I think they would just play all the real versions of the song.
yeah.
It was
I was
it's
like,
beautiful.
did Ice Cube just say the F word? It's like, what's going on? Oh,
Yeah.
Rins was on radio saying there was a lot of shifts at the time. She is one of she would do the overnight shift where, so after I'm partying and I'm driving home, I had drinks and I would call the station and Rins would still be working, and then that's who I would talk to as I drove home, which I do not recommend. A little inebriated, but definitely call somebody if you need help. So yeah, Rins was my lifesaver back in the days. So speaking of back in the days, you, sir, are from Pearl City.
Yeah, it's home of
Boo!
wait, the governor of the state of Hawaii. Come on, man. Your
Even,
governor.
well, just Pearl City in general. I mean, boo.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Jason Scott Lee, Bruce Lee, the dragon, all right? He played Bruce Lee. Jason Scott Lee went to Pearl City. Gary Moore, who's one of the best Little Richard impersonators, went to Pearl City. It's,
I didn't know that. And also Sean Felipe, who's does comedy up. I think he lives in San Francisco now. Who's
yeah,
the Lord Plate Truck.
Yeah, with
With
Lanai
Lanai.
and Lanai's brother. It's they won the series that
Yeah,
time when they were on.
yeah.
So you see,
And
it is
it's
the
funny.
school of greatness, my friend.
See, the reason I'm saying boo for those that don't know, I'm at high school who's always been in the shadows. So we say defend the hill. That's our thing. But I always refer to Pro City as that purple school up the hill, a little further up the hill. Obviously, you guys had a larger student body and always had better equipment than I. We were like we're like New Jersey if Pro City was New York. If you don't say that to anybody else in the island because they'll say Pro City's what?
Well, I don't know that we had better equipment. You guys had your own football stadium. We didn't even have a football stadium when I was there. That came
Oh
after
wow!
I graduated. Yeah,
I
we had
didn't
to
know
play
that.
our
So yeah,
home games at Waipahu High School, dude.
wow.
So who's the
I
jersey
didn't know
now?
that.
Yeah.
Waipahu. Yeah, so it was always our real rivals is Radford, but I always looked at Pro City because it's weird because not only sports, but you guys had the number one band in the nation for a couple times, I guess, in the 80s. I know my sister was in the band at IAEA, and we would have to go to the competitions and just be like it was pretty obvious. You watch IA's band, and, oh yeah, that was awesome. You watch other bands, you're like, oh, so good. And then Pro City's band come on, it's like, is that a college? It's like, holy cow.
Yeah, it was weird. We had so many people in the band that were not. I think we had more people in the band than attended the school. It was a pretty big band. Whenever the school's band was in a parade or something, it would take like 10 commercial breaks before they would come back from the Rose Bowl parade, and they're like, "Oh, it's still Pro City from Hawaii."
Yeah, it was huge because you guys even performed. Pro City even performed at University of Hawaii football game halftime shows, and
Sure.
it was like, wow, they almost look better than University of Hawaii. This is crazy.
Yeah, and the Pro Bowl.
So,
We performed every year at the Pro Bowl too.
so it's a lot of things for us to be jealous about over there at IAEA. One thing that I was pointing out, I guess, before we came on was it's funny because all these names that you mentioned from Pro City, I live in Pro City. That's how much of a fraud. I actually talk about it on stage that I'm a fraud. I claim I am, but my address says Pro City, Hawaii. I actually live on the border. If I live across the street, I'm in IAEA. But what do you call? Is myself, you, Sean Felipe, as far as like the local comics that people know of here, and then Y&I has like Daryl Bonilla, Andy Bumatai, Tumua Tuine, and it's kind of like,
Augie.
Oh, Augie, I thought Augie was Kalihi.
Well, I mean, he grew up out there, right? Wait,
He
no,
did? Oh,
you
I
know
didn't
what?
know
I'm
that.
sorry. You know what? I'm stupid. Yeah, Kalihi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Barrington.
Yeah,
right?
Yep, Farrington, and because I remember him mentioning his start at Dole Intermediate, but I was trying to find. Do you know where? Because I know Frank De Lima goes. He he works new material at Damien, so which is in Kalihi as well. Uncle Mel Kabang seems like a Kalihi dude. I don't know where he's from. Do you know?
I
Off the top
don't
of your
know
head, by any chance?
either. Yeah, I don't know. Wow.
So that's why I'm thinking. Like, okay, so certain areas of this island have some funny people. Not dissing the rest of the islands, but
Yeah, you are.
come on, Mililani, where you at? Mililani's always winning the high school championships and everything, and Kahuku. Well, you can't say Kahuku because Kahuku got like famous people out of there too now.
Well,
Well, Aya has Joe Moore.
Mililani has Maggie Q, the famous actress who was in Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, well, Aya just has Joe Moore.
Radford had Bette Midler.
Yeah. Did you hear what I said? I said Aya had Joe Moore. You better recognize Paul Ogata. This is Joe Moore talking about. Who's doing jokes on, you know how he does, and finally, or did you know? So Fridays, he does jokes now.
Oh my goodness. Why? Are they funny? Is he good? Is there talent? What's going on, James?
Horrible. And it's like, the cheesiest, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what you imagine. He's doing like the cheesiest. I wipe my mind clean as soon as I hear it because I don't want it to affect me when I go on stage. It's the worst.
Like out of a joke book. He's reading jokes out of a joke book.
No, it's worse. It's a joke book. At least an editor said, "No, don't do that joke. Don't do that joke." Jose's chiming in saying, "Uncle Mel is from Honoka'a." Oh, okay, Honoka'a. Okay, all right. So that's not Kalihi. So, Johnny Sparkles on Jonah Ray. It's from Kalaheo. That's right. Jonah Ray is from Kalaheo. Okay. All right, Kailua, settle down. But what do you call Pro City has always been that for me, and that I'm always like, maybe that's my own thing where I just, and then the reason I'm really driving it across is because the room that you're in is purple, which is the school colors too. So
it's blue and red. It's two different lights. I just can't let that purple go, James.
Yeah, I see. So 107 The Bomb, Pro City. Before we go further on into you as a comedian, I just want to point out that those of you here in Hawaii, if you want to go and see Paul Ogata, he will be performing here. How about that? February 25th in the Aloha Comedy Festival. He'll be performing Saturday at the... Wait, not Saturday. Is that a Friday?
Friday.
It's a Friday. Friday.
25th.
At Hawaii Theater at 8 p.m. So get your tickets. I believe you can go to either alohacomedyfestival.com or you can go to one of our sponsors, ComedyUHI.com. ComedyU Hawaii. I want to give a shout out to them for helping to develop the underground stand-up comedy scene. Try to give a stage to the local comics here. When I started out, there was no place to go. It was tough to find. So, big ups to Comedy Jose Dynamite for allowing us to. I'm performing tonight at Taqueria in Kapolei, which is a Comedy U event. So if you guys are looking for comedy around Oahu, go to comedyuhi.com. Scroll through the event, see what day that you can make it out to a show. It might be an open mic show, and you can even give it a try. Comics here are very supportive, and new comics. He does workshops as well. So go ahead and check out the website, comedyuhi.com. If you're interested and you want to just take a look and see, I really recommend you going to the Hawaii Theater show PAUL OGATA is coming down for. And I really love the poster.
Hey.
This poster is amazing.
Thanks, man. That's the old Elvis
The
Presley Blue Hawaii poster, yeah.
Yep. But he wasn't holding a chicken, right? He was holding a guitar, right?
Yes, but it's the rubber chicken somehow has become emblematic of comedy, so I put that on there.
Yeah, I love it. So go ahead and check it out. Friday, February 25th at Hawaii Theater, PAUL OGATA.
And full disclosure, you're going to be on the show too, so it's going to be a twofer.
Yeah, and Simone Park is opening, so it'll be a full show. We have the headliner, and Asian guy. We have a female who's also Asian, and they said, "Hey, you do a show in Hawaii, you better have Polynesian in there." And it was like, let's get that James guy. And everybody's always wondering, he always opens for people. He's always getting because of the unwritten rule that, I guess I used to be a Teamster. So they go around and they say, "All right, who's in your show?" It's a lot of white people. You don't have any Polynesians? And then they go, "Hey, James Money," and they throw me in there. I'm like, "Oh, shucks, guys, I guess." True, not true. Who knows? I could have made it up, but hey, I'm happy to be performing with you again, sir.
Or you're on the show because you're funny. How about that?
Cool. I think you were threatened to say that, but this will be the second time that I'm performing with you at the Aloha Comedy Festival, because the last 2 years ago, pre-pandemic, we performed at Next Door.
Yeah, it was very, very pre-pandemic. It was like the day before the world shut down, I think. It was very close to that.
Yeah. And which is funny because, thinking back, Jose was sick that weekend.
Jose COVIDed everybody. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Jose was like, he asked some of the comics to help out, and he's not feeling so good. And I remember him coughing. Now, I don't think it was COVID because, he would have got wiped out if it was the OG original strain of COVID, but it wasn't.
I don't know, because I had some Lee Hing Mui, and I was like, "Jose, you want Lee Hing Mui?" And he smelled it. He didn't even drool. He didn't even salivate. So that tells me it was COVID, dude. He couldn't smell it. He couldn't. Normal humans will salivate when there's Lee Hing Mui, but he didn't.
Well, he's from St. Louis, so I think they only salivate when they smell barbecue sauce. So.
True that.
Might have been
Stop defending patient zero, okay? We all know who it is. We did contact tracing and we found out it was Jose.
Jose Dynamite started the COVID, so we need to start beating up Jose Dynamite when we see him. So, 808 Viral, what's up there? Tuning in. The token Samoan comedian / doorman. People do mistake. There's been a couple times where I've showed up, and then the bouncer says, "Oh, earlier." I'm like, what? I said, what time you start? It's happened a few times when they didn't know I was a comedian. So they're like, "Hey, well, what time you start? And you gonna punch in?" I'm like, "I don't work here. Can I just be a large Samoan in a nightclub or in a bar that just wants to drink and meet chicks? Is that all right with you guys?"
Maybe next time, don't wear your gloves with the fingers cut off. Uh,
It goes well with the red velvet or the red leather jacket that I have with all the zippers, though. So, okay, now let's get back into comedy because so the problem with doing comedy here in Hawaii is the next level, which
COVID.
Jose, what have you done? See, it's long COVID in that it took a long time for you to catch it from Jose. But so Blue Note Hawaii is an awesome place, and that's where the comics, that are up and coming, where they do the Anna O'Briens or the Slack Key and all these smaller rooms, and they all want to get to a headlining set at Blue Note or even a showcase at Blue Note because, I mean, you've performed in there. You saw how as far as comedy goes, that's a really good room. So there's some questions that these comics may have that how do you get to the level above that where Tumua Tuine now he's just blown the roof off the place and sold out 3 times Blaisdell Concert Hall in a matter of hours. It's insane. But there's another, like for me, I want to get to the States, run the clubs, maybe take a trip and then spend like a few weeks up there and do residency, right? It's called up there, and then, then come back. But for the comics here, they don't get to see comics like yourself often, so they don't see like your work ethic. And I was talking about it with Tumu on his episode that I did with him, where how hard he works to get where he's at. And people think like you're on stage, it just seems like you just came up with it right then and there, which when you do crowd work probably does. But even your material, your jokes, and the comics that are down here don't understand how much work you actually put in to coming up with another hour or another showcase set. How much time do you spend, as far as do you sit at your desk and write these jokes or ideas and then go perform them over time? How long does it take from, let's say you scrapped your material to the next time you have a full headlining set?
It's an ongoing process, really. So every show, I'll try something new. I'm trying to work on a new bit or a new tag to a bit, or trying to find a different way for things to flow. But should always be working on something. And so it's like you take out this thing on the, I can't move my fingers. Anyway, you take out this thing on, what am I doing? You take out this thing and then you add a thing here on this side, right? So now you got these things. So the next time you take out this thing and you add another thing here, and it's an ever evolving process. But you've got to keep wondering, keep trying, keep your curiosity of the world alive, and that's what will help you spring forward into a different bit or a new way of looking at something. So I'll always be thinking is what I guess it would be. You can only work on and it's difficult. I know if you're just at clubs and you're an open mic and you're starting out, you've got 5 minutes maybe. So you want that to be a good 5 minutes. Okay, but the trap becomes when you only do that 5 minutes over and over and over again, and then you're at another open mic and you're doing the same 5 minutes. Open mics are your chance to experiment, to try things, and you've got your 5 minutes. That's fine. Try something else. Try another 5 minutes, and it's hard to wrap your head around that because it's they're your darlings, they're your babies. You've created this chunk of material, and you don't want to let that safety net go, but you have to in order to get to the next place, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because I was just talking to a few of the new. I always say kids when they're new to comedy. I call them the new comedy kids. Um, I performed at Square Barrel's Patrick Tyrell's venue promotion, and two of the comics who are fairly new showed up in the audience. One was performing, so it was three of them, and the three of us, the three of them and myself were in a workshop, Jose's comedy use workshop, at Anna O'Brien's with Tumua and another comic. Just it was so refreshing to see the kids, where it's like, wow, these people like. When I mentioned my experience or whatever's and how much they just ate it up, like, oh, really? Oh, and talking about what you're saying with the 5 minutes, because it's something that Sean Felipe would tell me when I first started, is that come up with 7 minutes and keep working that 7 minutes and keep changing that 7 minutes until you get a really, really polished 7 minutes. Then you put that 7 minutes here, and then you work the next 7 minutes, and then eventually you'll build up. You have 21 minutes, and and keep growing that way. But I love that you're mentioning try it a different way, because that's when I found out the kind of jokes I like. Which I experimented. I did a comedy when I first started out. There was a dance studio in Aiea, on the spot. Garrick Paikai them were doing comedy every Friday night. So I was new then. That's where I would go to work out. But it was the same 5 people in the audience every week. I was forced to try this 5 minutes different, where I had a bit about, I forget the name of the place, but the women were serving lattes or whatever's drinks in their bikinis or lingerie. And then the joke that I said was, this is probably the only place I'd be really angry if I found hair in my food. Which got laughs, And then later I was like, oh, it's the same people. So I tried to, off the top of my head, just rework them in front of these people. And then I changed it. I was like, this is probably the only place where I'd be okay if I found hair in my food, And then it expanded on that. And I was like, wow, I like. And I talked to Ryan Stout in previous episode about how I told him he was my Yoda, because when I opened for him at Pipeline, he does jokes where people go, ugh, but it's still funny. So, and I was like, I love that groan, but it's so clever that you have to give it props and laugh, because that's where you didn't plan to laugh, but it just came out.
I love it when you can make people laugh despite themselves, despite their sensibilities. The joke is so funny that they can't help but to surrender to it, and that's a beautiful moment.
Yeah, and that's when I was like, "Yep, I'm a comedian, and this is what I love to do." And some of my material since then has tried to gross people up, but it's just too funny. You just gotta laugh. And then your set, one of the first that I've seen you do was on TV. You were performing at Gotham in New York, and so like your a lot of your jokes, I'm like, man, it's you get that moment as a comedian when you watch somebody go, man, that seems so simple, but I would have never thought about that. But that's what makes it so amazing, and like Nate Bargatze is like that too, where it's so clever, so easy, but who would have thought of, like, when your joke about, and sorry to be saying your jokes, where you're talking about how Japanese people are always apologizing, and then you took that and you added to the World War II pilots that were attacking Pearl Harbor and diving into the battleships. They go, oh, so sorry. It's like, and that, I was like, holy that's so clever. And then they start to, pull things from here and putting it here. And it's like, wow, I didn't know you could move all these parts and add these parts And that's when I was like, oh, I'm looking at a genius. Sorry to embarrass you, but
I don't know about that,
that
but
that's how I see you. And I'm sure a lot of the kids in my scene see you. Then I seen you live and you did the Tourette's bit. It was like it's something like it seems like quite simple, but like you say, you probably I can see you asking yourself, like you said, keep asking questions. Whereas like, oh, why don't they say like nice things? Why can't they blurt out, like why it's always got to be bad words or negative things? And I was like, yeah, why not? So that when I see I see your writing. It's like, and just what you're saying, where you keep questioning and be curious. That's so cool, and I think that's what it is. You just ask, why is this? And that's what I would say to people who aren't comedians. I would say, what's happening over there, and why is that happening? And then I'll write about it. So
yeah,
your
we're
process
scientists, really.
in the
We're
lab.
not scientists. We're more like news reporters. We go out, we find the story, and we report it. So we're trying to do news, but we're doing news better than Joe Moore does comedy. That's the hope, anyway.
Hey man, that's a Nali'i you're talking about. You better watch your mouth, there, Chargers. So, and that as far as like, so when I watch your stuff, and I just think like, wow, what was he doing when he came up with that? Was he just cruising? Like, do you sit at a desk and write, or you go out? Because I know some people, they go people watch, something I used to do early on, but you can't really be outside during the pandemic. So what is your process? Like, do you sit at a laptop, or do you like writing on paper?
Well, I don't. In the early days, I wrote on paper because that's how old I am, and we didn't have laptops back in the day. We didn't have tablets or phones, so yeah, I wrote on paper. But nowadays, I'll write right into my laptop or my iPad or my phone, wherever I'm at. Um, Anytime something comes to you, make sure you make a note of that, because I guarantee you, if you let it slide, you're going to forget it. And then 2 hours later, you're like, what was that thing that I was just thinking of? So always put it down somewhere, and then expand it later on whenever you have the time. Whether you set a specific time, whether you say every day at 3 p.m. I'm going to write, or in your downtimes when I'm traveling a lot, so when I finally get to my hotel, or when in between shows or whatever it is, that's when I'll tinker with things and work with things. So I don't. I'm not saying don't set up a specific time every day, because that works for some people. Sure.
Yeah, I was always when I was a city bus driver, I always had a notebook with me, and then when something, and I was people watching as I'm driving around Honolulu, and something would spark, and then I would write it down, like just jot down the idea, and then go back to it later and try to expand on it. So now, because I'm not driving the city bus anymore, a lot of it I'm going back and pulling from my childhood experience. Right? So now I'm talking about how my parents fought a lot, not with each other, but with everybody else in the neighborhood. Like they,
What?
yeah. So then and I have tons of stories of how so we lived in an apartment building, like a 3-story walk up, Lipoa Place, which is, I don't know if you remember the Beacon restaurant.
Yep.
It's in that neighborhood. So we lived in there, and we didn't have any visitor parking, but, and my dad, when he came home and somebody was parking in his space, that someone was getting beat up. It was just how it was back then, because you get in a fight and not get arrested, back in the 80s. So, and then if it was a woman, then my mom would beat her up. So I was like, the Samoan stereotype, that's exactly who they were. So.
Wow. No wonder my parents would always only take us to Beacon during daylight hours. It was. My favorite thing there was the honey stung fried chicken. That was my favorite.
Oh, I like the Aya breakfast. which was
What's that?
basically. So I don't know if IAEA claims it, but Beacon called it the IAEA breakfast, which is an omelet with spam and green onions. So
Oh,
that's pretty
okay.
much what it was. Yeah, but it was on the menu as which was cool because living there, we had there and across the street Anna Miller's. So maybe that's where my love for breakfast came. So breakfast and
Yeah, Anna
pies.
Miller's. I miss. And so wait, Anna Miller's is still there. I love that place. I gotta hit that up when I get back.
So during the pandemic, it shut down. They only had the bakery open, so they only sold pies. And it's funny because I actually, I love Anna Miller's. I grew up right across the street, but I am angry because they reopened, and I don't go inside because it's still COVID around. So I call and pick up my order, and they messed up my order, and taking the order took forever, which is a bit that I'm actually trying to work into. And I just got so mad that I started yelling at my sister because the rule is you don't yell at the people making your food. So after I hung up, I just started snapping at my sister for no reason, like taking it out on her, my daughter. I'm not hitting anybody, but just snapping. Like, I can't believe, why are they messing up the order? Then I realized they shut down. The people who were working there, who were good at their job, are not there anymore because they were shut down for, as far as the kitchen and dining in, I want to say maybe almost 2 years. So
Yeah.
now they got new hires. And I was like, oh, see. And I see other people posting like, hey, relax. Not to me, but to other people, like, relax, because some of these people are just getting back to work and they're still learning how to do the job. And I was like, man, all right, chill out, James. You're being a dick. Settle down. But just to answer your question, they are open again, so you can go there, eat there. I would recommend Pancakes and Waffles, which is in Waimalu Shopping Plaza. So just put that out there.
What do they
Not just
have?
because they're a sponsor. Well, they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That used to be the name of the place. So they have what I like. I like their loco moco. I like they have Calbee loco moco. They also have their churro waffles. So like if you want to get like classier food, you can go to Anna Miller's or whatever. Then just because old school, you want to go and relive that again. But when you want like that local stuff, that I would like the gravy to be spilling off my plate. I would, that real home cooked feel. Then I go to Pancakes and Waffles. So, cool thing is it's right next to Starbucks. So right after, boom, give me coffee. I am good to go. Let's see. The Comedy Corner, Johnny Sparkles says he seconds the genius tag. Accept it, Sir Paul. And he also used to do Beacon Buffet every Friday. Oh, I didn't know they had a buffet. That must have been after I moved out. Yeah, and Ren's seconding it. They just opened the dining room. And 808 Viral says they caught COVID from Jose in the comments section. I love the people at 808 Viral, very cool people. I chat and talk trash with them a lot. But maybe if your name wasn't viral, you wouldn't catch it.
Ooh.
Hey-oh, there's comedy happening. Yeah, Jose, stop spreading the COVID. That's the OG strain that Jose got. So let's see. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is, so for myself, I want to end up getting gigs up in the States and actually working full time with comedy. I'm sure there's other comics like Sparkles and other comics, even Jose too, that's been doing it. What's his name? Patrick Terrell, that wants to get to the next level where maybe you're traveling and getting paid that way. So I see you, other than doing clubs, let me just point out that you're going to be performing tomorrow and Saturday at Madhouse Comedy Club in San Diego. So those of you in California, Southern California, you want to check out Paul Ogata. He's doing 4 shows, Madhouse Comedy Club in San Diego. You can go to paulogata.com and get all the info there. You can also buy tickets through your website, yes?
Yes. Go to paulogata.com/shows. It'll take you to the calendar, and via link you can click on it and get the tickets that way. But I think to answer your question, you have to ask yourself as a comedian, what's the next level? What do you want out of this, out of comedy? What is the next level to you? Is it, and be very specific with yourself. Be very careful with how you answer this question. Is it doing clubs in other states or cities? Is it getting on TV? Is it what is it that what is that to you? What is the next level? And then there will be good or bad ideas on how to achieve that. So I think that's what you first have to ask yourself. When you say, James, that you want to go and do shows across the continental U.S., okay, but is that really what you want?
I think that's the next challenge for me. Is I've performed at Dirty at 12:30, Tickle Me Comedy Club, which was actually in a movie theater when I was up there. So I don't know if it's an actual club. I performed in Idaho and California. I guess I want to get to like perform at Improv or perform at at these actual. I did the friends and family portion of the Comedy Store. The next level for me would be to do like how you're doing 4 shows in San Diego, or for me, where if I go to Denver, my daughter who's up in Wyoming, I would love to go to Denver and do like 2 shows or 4 shows in one weekend, so that I can book it, so that I go to the States, maybe somewhere around the Rockies, and do like 2 weeks and then come back home. I guess that's the next goal or dream for me. TV was never really a thing. The podcast is going to be what I guess like my steady job. And then the dream would be to see if I can do comedy in the States. The one place that I'm fearing, and it's probably because hearing other people talk about it, is Houston and certain places in the South. So
why Houston specifically?
I don't know. I just hear from like other comics and podcasts that they struggle in Houston unless you can do well. And a lot of it is they're saying they have more black and brown rooms than other cities, other major cities. And if you don't bring it, you're going to get booed off the stage.
Well,
I mean,
funny is funny, though. No matter what kind of room you're in, no matter who the audience is, funny is funny. If you use references that they don't understand or don't get because they've never heard of it before, you can take jokes about Micronesians from Hawaii and try and do them in Alabama and Alabamans. I don't know those Alabamese.
I think they're called cousins.
They've never heard of Micronesian. They're not going to get the joke. But other than that, funny is funny. So you go to a black room, and they want to laugh. They don't want to boo you. They want to laugh. So just be funny, do jokes that people will understand, and you can, and your comedy will work anywhere. Specifically, you I'm talking to right now, James. You're very funny. So I don't think you should fear any geographical boundaries. Just be the funny that you are, and it'll work out.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's just so starting here, and you get it as well too, where you can see that in one room you can have people from Japan, people from the East Coast, people from the West Coast, black, white, locals from the West Side, locals from town side, all in one room. So I think for me, that's where I had to make sure my material works for everybody in this room. And I think it wasn't so much a fear of, performing up there. It's more of like how, like, do you have to impress, like, I'm thinking, do I need to go to festivals and then get discovered there, or, what's the next, I guess, or how to get up there and perform. So it's cool because you live there, so.
Yeah, the game is mostly being present, so you have to be in the places where decisions are made and slots are filled. You have to be in front of the decision makers. You can roll into LA when I used to live in Hawaii and I flew back and forth to California every now and then to do shows. It's basically starting over every time that I would fly back. Okay, now I gotta try and get in with the person that booked this show again or that show. So I had a decision to make, which was, should I move and make this a full-time thing, or just keep spinning my wheels, jumping back and forth? And I thought the moment was correct for me to move, so I did that, and that's what you got to do.
I guess I'm packing it up. Let's look for some boxes and make my way up there.
Now,
okay,
you're going to run into comics who roll through town, and if you ask 9 of them, hey, will you help when I get to California or whatever it is? And if you ask 9 of them, 10 of them are going to say, oh, yeah, sure. And they're lying. They're not going to help you. You come across the one good comic every now and then who will extend assistance and help and point you in the right directions. So it's a sifting process. Find the good, helpful humans in your life.
That makes sense. Yeah. But because that's how I got the. I guess some of the comics here asked me, "How did you get Dirty at 12:30?" And it was Eddie If that called Gabe and vouched for me, and which was strange because I didn't ask, because at the time I didn't really know about Dirty at 12:30, and then when he said, "Oh, go check it out. Go, I'll hook you up and I'll vouch for you." And yeah, Mark Ellis was the one who helped me, and it's funny because I didn't ask. I'm truly blessed. And he said, "Hey, you want to do Comedy Store?" I met him through Graham Elwood while I was up in California, and I was like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, go down there." And it's so funny because I got there, and I asked somebody I thought worked there, and they're like, "Who?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess this is a prank or something." And then actually bumped into somebody else who worked there, and then mentioned it. I was like, "Oh, I don't know if there's a list that I'm on." I was like, and because they do it so much, I'm over here all like brand new. Like, is there? I was like a scared little puppy, and I was like, is there a list, or how do I get on stage? And it's like I was asking all the wrong questions, and then once I mentioned Mark Ellis, and they go, "Oh, you're probably in the Friends and Family show." Yeah, that's the next hour. I was like, "Oh, okay. So yeah, just wait over there." I was like, "Wow, sorry, big city people, my little island boy over here that doesn't know what's going on in this." Because I was just in awe, like, holy crap, this is the Comedy Store. And they were just like, yeah, watch out. The mistake I made was I haven't done 3 minutes in years, like just 3 minutes. I got up and just, when you do your long set or hour or whatever, you kind of, you walk into it, you got plenty of time. And I was doing that. Next thing I looked, the light came on. I was like, holy shit, I didn't even do a real joke yet. And now I don't have time because I don't have 1 minute left. I was like, shucks. So
have your sets set up in advance, man, for things like that. 3 minutes. AGT is 90 seconds, so you have something bulletproof for that. Have a 5-minute set, a 7-minute set. It's going to be important if that's what you want to do. If you want to hit these clubs in other states, in other countries, or you want to do TV, you got to have these specific sets down tight. So do that, young people.
Pepper, the misunderstood evil genius, is asking if the pink light is your new look for 2022.
Well, It's pink. It's usually red when I set it up for these things, but it's pink because I was doing this promo video and I did it in my washing machine. You can see that on my Instagram or on Facebook. Uh, I set my GoPro up in the washing machine and I shot it out and I put these lights inside and I made it pink. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, I guess yeah, I'm gay now, Pepper.
It's funny because when I was watching that video, I
Hold
was
on,
like,
let me.
"You're adjusting the light."
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna make it
So when I was watching
more
the
red.
video, and I was like, "Is this one of those dryers that's like on top of the washing machine?" Because I don't know if he's tall enough to reach that. Is this the one on the ground? Because
How dare
I'm
you?
pretty sure. Because if it's the one on the ground, I was like, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd have to lay on my stomach and look into the dryer. How much cleaning went into that dryer? Because that was a pretty clean dryer.
This is
I didn't see
unacceptable.
one
Well,
lint.
actually, yeah. Well, it's a washing machine, so it's clean, right? Except, and I should have checked this out. But if you look at the video on the top, I don't know what it is. There's like a hook or something, and it had accumulated a lot of dog hair on it. So if you look in the video, there's a little thing there, and you're like, "What is that?" That's dog hair. And
You
that's why
dry
you
your dog
need.
in there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you've recently become a new dog owner, right? Like
No.
within a year or so. How long?
Well, we've always been dog people, and we brought two dogs from Hawaii to California when we moved. They passed away. We had another dog, and he passed away. So this
Oh,
dog we got at the beginning of the pandemic in April 2020, and we thought, well, who knows how long we're going to be stuck at home? We might as well uh, get a new dog and spend a lot of time with him. And as luck would have it, I found at a local shelter rescue place a full purebred Akita, and we snapped him up, and he's been our baby boy for almost 2 years now.
a purebred Akita? That's rare.
Yeah, American Akita. Yeah, there's two kinds of Akitas there.
Because
Yeah, at a shelter. Here's what
we
happened. We found out that this couple got him they bought him from a breeder as a purebred Akita, but then they got divorced, and the wife left
oh
the husband with the dog, and the husband dumped the dog off at the shelter. And so we lucked out, and we swooped in and got him for ourselves.
that is lucky because so when our first dog here, we had 6 mutts in American Samoa. I was like 8 months old. But when we moved here, it was always no dogs. As I'm growing up, no dogs. It's like, why? I want a dog. And they, the pain that my parents went through, leaving those 6 dogs in Samoa, American Samoa, and coming up here, they didn't want to go through that anymore. Fast forward to my daughter is born and she's 4 years old. She's graduating from preschool, and my dad goes, "Let's get her a puppy." And I was like, "What? What about all the years I asked you for a dog? She's graduating from preschool. Everybody graduates preschool." It's like, and he's like, "Oh, let's get her." So he gets her purebred Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, beautiful dog, and then we get to know about dogs, and we find out about you should rescue them instead of buying, because there's a lot of dogs in shelters that, through people like with your pups situation, where no fault to the puppy, but people, whatever happens, whatever reason, just throws the dog away. So we rescued another Cavalier from a puppy mill in Pro City, and then those 2 dogs got old and they passed, and then we went through shelters to find other dogs. Like, God bless these people who rescue dogs, not just because you're rescuing dogs, but because the dogs that come out of these shelters, holy shit, man. Like, I guess the trauma that they've gone through, because like nobody can walk past our house without our dogs like getting all vicious. Like they're very overprotective of us. Like nobody can come near our house, and they're always. Oh man, I just let one out of my room just now. He was looking at me. He's like, "I want to get out of here. I'm not a fan of this podcast." But one of them, the smallest one we got, was abandoned in Y&I in a cage. So the person didn't even like let him give a chance to run around. It was in a cage. When it was found, the mother had just given birth to the puppies. I think one was probably stillborn, and I think in the story was that the mother was either the mother or it has to be the mother was eating the stillborn pup, and the others were traumatized, I guess, by I don't know what. So my little my dog that I have, my little one, every time fireworks, maybe West Side they pop fireworks whenever they want, or so every time fireworks go off, he just like zooms right under whatever he can find, whether it's the bed and he's like shaking. I'm like, so it's like, oh, we didn't get the dog we wanted, but I feel good because this dog needed a home, So it's like, and these are mutts. So my point is, you got an Akita? How lucky are you? A purebred.
Well, I don't know.
We got these.
He's kind of an asshole, but yeah, he's purebred.
That's why he's walking around like, I am purebred. That's how he walks. His shoulders come up like that. It's like, you could have had any of those sorry dogs, but you chose me because I'm purebred. It almost sounds racist.
Yeah, well, we didn't know that was his story when we got him. We just he looked adorable, and so we ran out and got him. And then a lady who had previously saw him at the pet shop called us and got in touch with us somehow, and she said, "I think your dog was for sale," and we pieced together the story that way. But yeah, purebred Akita, those things usually go for like $3,000, I think, or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
score.
were able to rescue. Yeah.
Yeah, it's to rescue a purebred. That's rare because usually people hold on to those or try to breed them out. Before I let you go, two more things I wanted to ask you. One, so I'm also friends with other comics that do cruises. But they do cruises almost like that's like their main thing. They're always doing cruises. You do cruises here and there. Some of them paint a picture like, oh, we're only allowed to be in this part of the boat. Some of them paint a picture like, this is awesome. Basically on vacation. I just have to go and perform a couple times throughout the cruise, not even every day. What is your experience with working the cruise ships? And do you recommend other comics doing it?
It's, first of all, I'll answer that last question first. It's good money. It is stupid good money, and I will take it because I'm a hoe. But now to move on to the other questions. It's what your experience is going to change from ship to ship and from company to company. It's if you work at Carnival, for example, as the comedian, you have to wear a name tag when you're walking around the ship. Ugh, right? Gross. They put you in the crew cabin. And anyway, but on Royal Caribbean, which I do shows on, you're regular passenger, your cabin. Sometimes they put me in a suite. I've got a balcony, and it's from
Hey,
ship
Paul,
to ship.
you're breaking up a little bit.
Number of ships, I do 2 shows. So I do 16 shows a week. So it's a variable experience. Should you do it? It's good money. And back in the day, the paradigm of or stereotype of what a cruise comedian was very hacky, someone with a guitar and did guitar comedy and parodies, but that's changed now largely. I think the cruise lines want to have a more modern, contemporary stand-up feel to it, and so they hire comedians from this era instead of these old 70-year-old guys doing joke book jokes.
Like Joe Moore.
Yeah, he should do cruise comedy.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Joe
Princess
Moore.
Cruise presents Joe Moore. Waka waka waka. So you were kind of breaking up, but you were saying you do 16 shows on the Princess
Sometimes
on
on
the
some ships I'll
Royal
do
Cruise.
2 shows a week. Some ships I'll do 16 shows a week. It matters on the specific ship, the size of the ship. Some ships I do fit 6,000 passengers, and so in a little club, they have 16 shows a week because they need to filter people through, and you can only get so many people in the little club at one time. But yeah,
Right.
before the pandemic, I had Royal Caribbean's been very good to me. They offer me work whenever I want it. So technically, I could possibly work all year long on a ship, but I have a wife, I have a dog that I like to. I have I pay bills here at my house, so I should probably use my house. Um, the but and they
Yeah.
they call me to do a lot of their brand new big ship launches. Like I brought out the Spectrum of the Seas, their brand new ship. The Symphony was a brand new ship. This March, I'll be bringing out their Wonder of the Seas, which is going to be the largest ship in the world when it sets sail finally in March. So
Wow.
I feel honored that they asked me to do these, and that's kind of like I guess a validation that somebody likes me, James.
There are a handful of people out there. Well, the thing that I think so when I first saw you live, it was it was around Christmas where you and Andy Bumatai went to the neighbor islands, and then you came to perform. I think it was Ala Moana Hotel, and Andy had suffered indigo, so I was asked to fill in, and you were supposed to do more time because Andy was the headliner for that show. And so I saw you were material, and then I saw you at the Aloha Comedy Festival 2 years ago, and now you do a lot of crowd work. Is that something that you do on the ship, or do they ask you to do mainly material? Because I think when you do crowd work, your material just grows, by so much.
Yeah, it's a good way to pan for gold. You're always creating if you're doing crowd work, which is something I love to do and something I was forced to do. I kept doing shows in Hong Kong over the last 16, 17 years, and it was the same people that get coming back to the show. So I had to, instead of coming up with 2 new hours every year, I uh, found a way to create gold. Reach out into the ether and pull things out and weave it together and try and make something good that way. And that was quite a good learning experience for me for crowd work. And now I enjoy doing it. Sometimes I'll do a whole show of just crowd work, and everyone's having a good time. I feel bad because I didn't get to do any of my regular material. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so at the end, I'll throw out something I've written. But um, it's a good way to write. I'm not suggesting everybody do it, and certainly don't
Right.
just launch into it. There's a way to do it successfully, and if not, then you're really just burning the crowd for the rest of the comedians on the show. If you're up first, maybe don't do crowd work. All right, it's not for you if in that position if you're the first comic up. But if you're closing the show, yeah, why not? Sure, do some crowd work. If you go up early and you ask people, "Hey, where are you from?" They're like, "Iea," and you're like, "Oh, okay." And you don't have a joke for that. Now, A, you look stupid. B, you burned it for everybody else after you because now I don't know. You have a know the answer to the question you're asking before you even ask it.
Yeah, so I opened for a lot of people. I opened for Todd Barry on Maui, and when I asked him, is there anything, out of courtesy, because as an opener, you know that I know it's not my show. This is his show. I'm here to support his show. So I asked, is there anything that, other than asking, do I go, you want me to do clean or blue? Um, Also, is there anything that you don't want me to say? And then that way I don't, like you said, burn his material. And he was saying, oh, don't do crowd work. I was like, oh, okay, don't do crowd work. And then after the show, I asked him, okay, I'm curious, why no crowd work? Because he did a lot of crowd work. And he told me, he said, oh, because one, you'll get them in the mood to talk. And I don't want them to talk unless I'm talking to them. And then, then the heckling starts. And two, yeah, then if he asks the same person I asked, like, are you from IAEA? And then I already addressed that. Everybody knows this person's from IAEA, so it's just like similar to what you're saying. Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of the new comics here don't get, is that there are unwritten rules, if you can figure it out early, which I think Sean Felipe helped me out with that a lot when I was working with him at Pipeline. He introduced me to a lot of these unwritten rules where, yeah, when you host, you welcoming the people, and you got that eats up your time, but that's something that you should do because you're preparing them for the headliner. Don't come in thinking, oh, this is my show. My 5 minutes in front of this or 10 minutes in front of this show is the reason these people came here. So it's like, let that ego go. And I think, that's where I've been lucky, where it's like, all right, I'm just here to, present the headliner to you. Whereas when I got to headline early in the month, I loved it. I was like, let's go. All the time I held back, because even open for Tumua, his rules is obviously no swearing, and two, no crowd work, because he does a lot of crowd work now. So, yeah. So write that down, kids, and you learn something. The last thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm sorry I keep you on so long. So other than doing stand-up comedy, other than being, whether it's clubs, traveling, you were on Family Feud. Yeah, probably the only person I know that was on Family Feud. And it was just pretty awesome because this was Brad Garrett's family that he brought, and then he brought on the comics, I guess, that perform at his place regularly. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to start working at Brad's Club in Vegas a bunch of years ago, and we've become friends since then. Usually at his club at the MGM Grand twice a year. So if you're unfortunate enough to be in Vegas when I'm there, you'll see my stupid big face on the huge outdoor marquee. And it's caused several car accidents out of sheer terror, and I apologize for that. But when he had a chance to do Celebrity Family Feud against Ray, and Ray brought his actual family, but Brad brought the comics to work at his club. So you'll see me, Ralph Harris, Debbie Gutierrez, and Sam Fedeli, in addition to Brad, on Celebrity Family Feud.
And it was awesome. I was like, oh, that was so cool that he brought that family of comedians there. Is his room in Vegas, is that like one of the more difficult rooms to get in to perform?
Difficult to get in? I would say, yeah. Before, I was able to get people guest spots, and they could get in that way. The manager would watch the comic perform and make a decision on that. But now, I guess you have to submit a video and go through another process. That's how I got in. Somebody got me a guest spot, and I was able to impress the booker that way. I've gotten Kermit Apio able to work at that club through a guest spot. But somebody screwed it up. Somebody always screws it up, and I'm dying to know who this was that ruined it for everybody. And if it's you, I'm coming after you, whoever this is. Watch your back. But yeah, it's I wouldn't say difficult to get into, but there are a lot more hoops that you have to jump through, which is good because I think first of all, it's a beautiful club. They moved into a brand new room this year, right on the casino level of the MGM Grand, and it's an awesome club. But the audiences always are going to get a good show because they've got comics there who are going to bring it every time, no matter who it is. You may have heard of me, you may have not heard of me, but you're gonna laugh when I'm done.
Yeah, so that's what I'm coming across now is like as far as trying to get into, I guess clubs to perform. It is a lot of submission online. Submit a video. Some is word of mouth still, but yeah, like so Vegas would be like one of the you know spots that a lot of Hawaii comedians look to. Like, oh, that's aside from the L.A. and New York, but like Vegas is like one of the spots that, because we were raised to think of Vegas that a certain way. So like Vegas, that's where you want to get. So I guess we got all these Hawaii comedians that are watching, make sure you put that Uncle Paul Ogata referred.
Yeah, say what you want, people. Say what you want. But I've put it in place with all the bookers that anybody who mentions me, it's BS.
Unless they're from Pro City.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I got Johnny Sparkles a set at the LA Comedy Club in Vegas at the Stratosphere. So if I know you and you're funny, I will definitely help you if it's something that it was within my power, for sure.
Yeah, definitely talking trash because you've helped me out a lot as well. I worked with is it Jason Chaney at LA Comedy Club in the Stratosphere. I forget the headliner's name. I met him that night. He has long curly hair. I think he's from Atlanta. Light-skinned black guy. Really
Landry.
funny dude. So Landry, yes. So was it you that hooked that up for me? I'm trying to think back. I was like, who set that up? Is it? But anyways, other than you've also helped me out with other gigs and also helped me with writing a contract. That was the first time my official contract in booking a corporate gig, and I was like, they're asking me for a contract. Where do I get one of those? And you're like, oh, I just write it myself, and then I sign it. And then you sent me the template, and I was like, oh, thank God. But the funny thing is, you said, make sure you change the names. I was like, oh yeah. I might send a contract and book you for that gig. Okay, really, last question. I'll let you go. Sorry. How important is having a manager or having an agency for you? Like, is that something that, or do you do all your business stuff yourself? Because I know with comedians, when it comes to taxes, that's the issue where it's like, oh, I wish I had an accountant or a manager or an agency that worked with all this stuff. So as far as getting booked and the business side, management, no management, agency, no agency. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know what? There's an old saying that when you really need a manager, they will find you, or if you need an agency, they will find you. And there's some truth to that. But I've had a manager before, and it didn't really help. I would say most of the things I've accomplished so far, I've done myself. I book myself. I handle my own affairs. I do my own taxes. And not to say that I do any of that well, but I do it myself. Is it important? Sure. If there's a right fit, if you as the talent find the right either manager or agent who will put things in motion for you and you can follow through with that, then it's a good idea. It's a good formula. But the question is finding that right person? Are they the right person for you? Are you the right talent for them to represent? That yeah, it's part of the big calculus of it all. Do I wish I had William Morris in my corner? Sure, I do. Yeah, I would love a big agency forcing people to book me as part of a big horse trading deal in the entertainment whorehouse. Yeah, I'd like that. But until that happens, I'm doing it myself and doing okay with it.
Cool. Okay, so it's some things a lot of things I got to learn on the business side. I guess as far as doing comedy full time going forward. Yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time talking. I once again want to push those of you that are listening and are watching. Aloha Comedy Festival, February 25th, Friday, at the Hawaii Theater, 8 p.m. Paul Ogata will be headlining there. So Hawaii, he's coming home. Now's your time to go see him.
Come check it out and buy tickets right now. Go to hawaiitheater.com. That's theater with an R-E at the end, not an E-R, because it's the old fancy British way of saying theater, and that means it's classier. So try to not wear shorts when you come to the show. 8 p.m. Friday night, February 25th. I'll be there. James Money will be there. Simone Park will be there. Jose Dynamite, without his COVID, will be there.
And also, don't forget to bring your vaccination card or negative test within 48 hours to be safe, to make sure that you can get in. When you talk to Jose, don't.
I think you got to wear a mask too.
Yep, we're still wearing masks here. I know some states are getting close to lifting the mandates, but some buildings will still reserve the right to require you to wear masks. So bring it on out. Before we go, let's see here. Johnny Sparkles, Paul has always been kind and helpful to me. It's an honor to call him a friend and a colleague. Pepper is saying, no judgments here, just observations about the pink light. I heard Chunk from Goonies is an entertainment lawyer now. Oh, okay. Maybe
Does he start off all his emails with, hey, you guys? Oh, wait, that's not Chunk. That's Sloth. Sorry. No.
Yeah, Sloth was Matuzak, former Raider.
Brain cancer, right?
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, it probably has something to do with the steroids. So, because even Lalo Zeta was similar. Yeah, sad. But I appreciate you being on the podcast. Can't wait to see you next Friday. Those of you that want to get you want to get your tickets now because it's going to go fast. I think they just started pushing it recently, right? It wasn't, because I don't remember seeing anything about it happening last month, but it's here now. Let your friends know. I'll continue to tell people about the show. Thank you, Paul Ogata. Aside from being from Pro City, you're an amazing person, a great friend. You've helped, and you just doing you're helping the scene here in Hawaii grow. Because every time we talk about it, it's like, oh, Hawaii comedians, your name comes up, Kermit's name comes up, Sean comes up, and then now Tumua is the next one. He's doing a West Coast tour now, March and April. So more Hawaii comedians are starting to invade, but we all look to you and as our big brother. So thank you so much. I heard your Akita barking, telling you, wrap this shit up.
Yep, time to go.
Akita's like, wrap this up. I got to get out there and piss on some bushes. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you. Can't wait to see you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Ogata. Peace out.
Peace.
Oh, thank you guys so much for hanging in there, enjoying the conversation with Paul. Man, if you guys have any more questions, I will see him next week. I'll ask for you. I'm actually going to podcast again in a few hours. So this is pretty intense for me. Podcasting again tonight, 7 p.m. with today's the day of Pauls. So I just had Paul Ogata. Tonight at 7 p.m. Hawaii time, I'm going to have Reese K. Paul, comedian and podcaster. I think he represents Kailua. So we're talking about this Pro City and Y&I thing. And now we got this kid from Kailua. Maybe he's going to show us, maybe he'll be more famous than us. We'll see. All right, thank you guys. I got food waiting for me downstairs, so you know what? You know what that means, right? What does that mean? My dog is scratching on the door. Well, I got to go get this food downstairs. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am out.
It can easily be done if you just get it, man. And I'll be feeling it, the rhythm in my bones, shaking it and stomping on my feet, stomping to the groovy blues beat. Yeah, alongside, baby, can you feel me heat, lover? Well, I'll be feeling it, the rhythm in my bones, the rhythm in my bones. It's the rhythm in my bones. Yeah, I'll be living it and loving it, like it. Stay at peace and try to never deal with the strife. Intensify the gleaming in my eye. The Bagalolo, it be lifting me up high. I'm from the Honolulu, represent, yeah. It's the honor on a mission, heaven sent. Wherever always bring 110% people. I'll be feeling it, the rhythm in my bones, the rhythm in my bones. It's the rhythm in my bones. Oh, yeah, 'cause sweet music, sweet. Sweet melody, yeah. In the trees, sweet old freedom I'm like a butterfly singing on the beat, cosmic sailor on the universal seas, electric boogie swinging.